article, that is Chill Down Asia Spine. In this article is related to GS2 paper international relations. The What are all the things you need to study about this article is what are the outcomes of recent NATO summit, new focus areas and implication across the globe, India stands and what it lies ahead. Okay. One of the many interesting features of last week's NATO summit was significant in Madrid was a significant Indo-Pacific presence. For the first time, the Prime Minister of Australia, Japan, New Zealand, as well as President of South Korea participated in NATO summit. Prime Minister of Australia, Japan, New Zealand, as well as President of South Korea participated in the NATO summit. The Russia and China, who had unveiled a partnership without limits and with no forbidden areas just weeks before Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, now facing the whirlwind that has resulted from the muscular regional policies. The conflict between Russia and Chinese expansionism on one hand and revitalization of old alliance like NATO and construction of new Asian coalitions like Quad and AUKUS on other is here to stay. NATO has declared Russia the most significant and a direct threat to allies, securities, and to peace and stability in the Euro-Atlantic area. The new focus on Russia has not meant ignoring the China problem. NATO has declared that China's stated ambition and cohesive policies challenges our interest, security, and values. More than a decade ago, in 2010, when NATO agreed on strategic doctrine, it was discussing it with Russian partners. There was no reference to China in 2010 strategic concept. At the time, West was trying to deepen ties with Russia and build an expansive economic cooperation with China. Russia claims that Ukraine does not have the right to exist and the Moscow must have a veto over the policies of the Western neighborhood to has shaken the European of the stupor. Then US President Donald Trump made no secrets of his desire to put NATO out of the business. However, last few months have been closing of ranks in NATO, thus now determined to cope with the Russian threat. Germany, which has long showed good political and commercial relation with Russia, has agreed to raise its defense spending and do more for European security. Sweden and Finland have ended their holistic neutrality and decided to join the NATO. For India, it is natural to be neutral between its old friend Russia and its newfound partners in North America and Europe. Small countries seek alliance not for fun of it. They look for alliances when their fears of more powerful neighbors become acute. Most states in Europe had presumed that they were in new era where sovereignty and territorial integrity of the small states are not under threat for their large neighbors. For Indian analysts, it is easy to objective about Russian expansionism in Europe. Delhi, however, tends to be a lot more subjective, but Chinese expansionism in Asia for its cut so close to Indian bone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi quite early in his tenure talked about the danger of expansionism and Westward, which had a continuous taste of it from China in 2014-17 and more recently in 2020. It should not be too difficult for India to understand why some Asian countries are turning to NATO. For years, China has cried wolf about an impending Asian NATO. Way back in 2007, when India conducted a mere joint naval exercises with the US, Japan, Australia, Singapore, Beijing called it a precursor to Asian NATO, since the Asian NATO has been the staple of Chinese propaganda. Japan and South Korea are the two China's most important East Asian neighbors, share a deep cultural and civilizational bonds as well as massive commercial relationship with Beijing. Australia and New Zealand are a bit further away, are deeply tied to Chinese economy. Creation of more sophisticated national military capabilities has been the first priority of some of the Beijing's labor. Resolving mutual differences and the strengthening security cooperation, for example, Japan and South Korea has been another. boosting the bilateral alliance with US is yet another. Even as nations in the region reboot ties with the US, Asia is also seeking to diversify its security partnership. This has led to the greater Asian engagement in Europe as well as creation of new Indo-Pacific regional institutions including Quad and AUKUS. But the imperial ambition of both rooted in the profound misread of their leverage have produced a massive geopolitical backlash. Russian and Chinese actions have helped consolidate the old alliances and gave birth to new security coalition thanks to egregious expansionism of Russia and China. Strategic integration of Asian and European geopolitical theaters has now begun. Whether they like it or not, all countries in Europe and Asia will have to deal with the consequences, the author says. Next article that we are moving into is all about degree of privacy and freedom. Before that, let us see the one more article, that is stakes in Kabul. This article is important in GS2 international relations. What you have to know from this article, and also more than that, is global implication of Taliban's establishment in Afghanistan. What are the countries involved in Afghanistan? What are countries involved in Afghanistan and India's effort regarding economic development of Afghanistan, India's concerns regarding Afghanistan and key analysis and way forward. India's concerns regarding Afghanistan and key analysis and way forward. Next article that we are moving into is all about degree of privacy and freedom. This article is all about important for GS2 governance. You have to know what is not non-consensual intimate images and the online safety and legislative measures to prevent spread of non-consensual intimate images. What more needs to be done in this context? Let us see the article in detail, what the author says. The law enforcement and technical platform to have a coordinate response to sharing of the non-consensual intimate images online. Publishing a non-consensual intimate image is a criminal offense under IT Act 2000, which platforms doing their best to filter out such contents. While a criminal conviction is desirable, more urgent needs for the victim is to stop spreading of illegal content. They empower the victim to complain directly to any websites that have allowed the uploading of non-consensual images or videos of a person in a state of nudity or engaging in sexual act. This involves the content that has been digitally altered, and to depict the person as such, the website must remove the content within 24 hours of receiving a complaint or risk facing criminal charges. However, this approach relies on victims identifying, sharing every URL hosting their intimate images. Large social media platforms proactively remove the certain types of content. The focus is on child pornography and rape videos. For example, Meta recently built a tool to curtail the spread of non-consensual intimate images. Hashing technology to match non-consensual intimate images against the future uploads. A victim whose, you have to know what is hashing technology is all about. A victim whose intimate images have been shared without their consensus can use the tool to create the hash or unique identifier of the offending image, which is shared with the platform. The platform form then compares with the user generated hash with the hashes of all other images on its site. The victims could report to non-consensual intimate images abuse at a centralized location and have it taken down across a range of websites. For example, Australia has appointed a e-safety commissioner who receives a complaint against this NCCI and coordinates between the complaints and website. Individuals who posted the content with the commissioner empowered to issue the removal notice against the illegal content. The use of automated tools also raise free speech concerns that lawful content may accidentally be taken down. Automatic filters often ignore context. The content that may be illegal in one text and may be illegal in another. This is precisely why free speech advocates are wary of automated tools to remove the harmful content online. The government's reported overhaul of IT Act is an opportunity to develop the coordinated response to NCCI abuse that will provide the victim meaningful redress without restricting online speech. If courts direct the platform to take down the NCCI, they should only do so where the NCCI content will be illegal in every foreseeable context. Next article that we are moving into is related to Large Hadron Collider runs 3 from today. What will it took from now? Took for now. Let us see what is you have to see what is Large Hadron Collider and the latest upgrade. Large Hadron Collider of the European Organization. This is important in GS3, Science and Technology. Large Hadron Collider of the European Organization for Nuclear Research will begin smashing proton into one another at an unprecedented level of energy. Scientists will analyze the data of evidence of new physics or physics beyond the standard model that explains how the basic building blocks of the matter interacts and governed by fundamental forces. Proton to proton collision per second. We aim at delivering the 1.6 billion proton collision per second. Only on July 4, 2012, scientists at CERN announced the discovery of Higgs boson or God's particle during Large Hadron Collider's first run. Put forth in the mid 60s on how matter acquires mass. The hope is to use the collision to further the understanding of so-called dark matter. Next article that we are moving into is all about folk hero Alluri Sitaramaraju. You have to know about Alluri Sitaramaraju and his contribution to freedom struggle and welfare of Adivasis. Next thing that we are moving is all about economy. That is GS3 committed to 6% fiscal deficit target, oil in focus. This article talks about what is fiscal deficit. You have to know from this article what is fiscal deficit, components of fiscal deficit, reasons for fiscal deficit, and India's fiscal policy framework. Is fiscal deficit good for the economy? You have to know. India will only withdraw its windfall tax introduced last week of oil producers and refiners if the global prices of crude falls as much as $40 per barrel. India's macroeconomic fundamentals are strong to deal with the global economic challenges, and central government is committed to sticking to the fiscal deficit target of 6.4% of GDP for the current fiscal. The India imports 80% of its crude oil requirement, and weaker rupee makes import costlier. Commodity prices including crude oil and ruling high due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war has led to the inflationary pressure. The government on domestic crude oil production and fuel exports is expected to yield rupees 1.3 lakh crore additional revenue. The government on July 1 increased the import duties on gold, that is 5 percentage points, added export duties on petrol, that is ATF 6 rupees 6 per litre, and diesel 13 per litre, imposed a windfall tax on domestic crude production, that is rupees 23,250 per ton. Okay, next article is all about that's all. Impact on efficiency of staffs, consumers, PSBs asked to access all mergers till date. This article talks about public sector bank space. The government has asked to share the benefits of the merger that have happened till date and sought on international assessment by bank regarding the impact of amalgamation on various stakeholders including employees, customers and operational efficiency. Digital banking, all this will ultimately lead to reduction in cost of operation and add to the profitability and consumer convenience. As a part of its strategy to make banks bigger, financially strong, the government in 2019 announced a merger of 10 public sector banks to 4. Number of public sector banks have been reduced from 27 to 12. This is what the article all about. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Have a nice day.